Hey everyone, it is the week of July 15th. I am Jill Berkowitz. I am the community manager at Clerk Chat and
Hi everyone, I'm Will. I'm our AI implementation specialist, and we're going to talk about the news this week in AI.
okay, so I have to talk a little pop culture first. Do you watch Big Brother by any chance?
I'm not an avid watcher, but I have seen bits of it. I've seen bits and pieces.
Okay, so really funny. I actually do not watch Big Brother. I have a really good friend who watches, and I was like, I'm going to watch with her. So, spoiler alert, last night was the premiere, and people already knew that there was going to be some element of AI implemented into this season. So, I happened to hop in a little bit late to the episode, and when I started watching, the House was basically voting on whether or not they wanted to let this additional person in. And some people said yes, some people said no. And this is the spoiler. After everybody voted, this person came on in video and said, "Hi, everyone, I'm Ainsley." And I see that it was 50-50 and I was voted to not come in. But guess what? There is a secret that I didn't reveal to you guys. I'm going to be in the house anyway because actually my name Ainsley stands for Artificial Intelligence Network Self-Learning Entity. And I stopped for a second. I was like, oh my gosh, no wonder I'm watching this season. So I hope that you expect some Big Brother related updates from me, whether or not you watch, although now I kind of suggest that you should watch.
Yeah, Jill, I think you convinced me.
Here are real 4 non-pop culture topics that we're going to cover today. The first one, companies have been swiping YouTube videos for AI training. Gemini, which I love Gemini, workspace extensions that are now available. Apparently, Disney's, I guess Slack, but internal messages have been hacked related to something AI. And AI in the gaming industry. So let's start with the first topic. From Wired, Apple, NVIDIA, and Anthropic use thousands of swiped YouTube videos to train AI. So YouTube has a rule in effect that prohibits harvesting materials from the platform without people's permission. But it turns out that companies like Anthropic, NVIDIA, Apple, Salesforce was even listed, used subtitles for more than 170,000 YouTube videos to train AI. Proof News, which is a company that provides data-driven reporting and analysis, created a tool that shows which channels have videos that are being used to teach AI. The reality is there are likely so many other companies doing the exact same thing, but since these are considered big tech and big names that everybody knows, they're of course the ones that are being called out about it. So not necessarily specific to this, I'd love to talk about the idea of transparency and accountability for a moment. Do you think companies should be required to disclose how they're training their AI models?
Yeah, companies should definitely have to kind of disclose how they're training their models. Almost like if you were writing a paper, you have to reference where you got your knowledge from, whose ideas they were originally, if it was your idea originally. And yeah, just to kind of give credit back to the people that created the content that, new content is being created from. And the same, like we've talked about this before with art, and I'm pretty sure you've also talked about it with music as well. Yeah, I think that's definitely going to, if it's not already, it's becoming more common to have to disclose how they're training their models. But I think it would become like really commonplace, yeah.
The next thing I would love to talk about is I happen to love Gemini. That's like my go-to for any sort of AI usage. According to Google, workspace extensions are now available in beta for Gemini for Google Workspace add-on subscribers. So if you are a Google Workspace admin, I want to specify that because you can't just do it if you're not an admin. You can opt in to beta test Gemini extensions for Gmail, Google Drive, and Google Docs. I believe that this will help inform Gemini's responses. However, the workspace data will not be used to train Gemini publicly. The idea seems to be based around streamlining and allowing Gemini to pull together whatever Google Workspace apps you happen to be using to help you become more productive. I happen to love Google. I happen to love Gemini. I have no interest in using this. I'm curious, like off the top of your head, could you think of any potential benefits of integrating Gemini with Google Workspace?
Yeah, the first thing that popped into my mind when I read this was like kind of a Copilot, but for Google. So like how on Microsoft you've got Copilot and it can search through everything you've got on Teams or your Microsoft calendar and then give recommendations based on that. I gather this is just the same thing, but through Google Workspace. And one interesting example that I stumbled across in, I think it was another context, maybe like a month or two ago. It was in relation to Gemini. Or maybe it was talking about the future when you could do this. And it was saying like, you've got a Gmail an email chain on Gmail that's like 30 messages long between me, you, and another person at another company, and you've finally got a meeting with them today, you haven't talked to them in a month. You just have Gemini, oh, hey, can you summarize, what we were talking about and what direction we're going in, just sign for this meeting. And instead of having to wade through that chain of 30 emails,
Oh
it'll
my
pick up the
gosh.
key point.
You might have just totally gotten me by that example, because I can't tell you how many times I go back to an email thread looking for something specific. Like, I know it's in there. I know it was related to this email, but I just can't seem to find it. Like, if Gemini could find it for me in 30 seconds or whatever, that might make me consider trying it out.
Yeah, yeah. Or even another example could be, we want to meet and we're both in the same Google Workspace, and I just say to Gemini, throw some time in the calendar for next week for me and Jill. And because we've got both our calendars, it'll, do it and I won't have to find a time.
I sort of wonder if they'll end up releasing some early studies on how people are using it and what the results are and what their opinions are, and if they're going to end up making any changes to its capabilities.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
So this next topic I found really kind of creepy, actually, concerning. So apparently this was from both The Verge and also CNN. Disney's internal Slack was leaked by hackers mad about AI. There were a group of hackers known as Nullbudge, I don't know that I'm pronouncing it right, apologies in advance, that has somehow managed to get a hold of 1 terabytes worth of data from Disney internal communication. You can only imagine what that includes, and likely information that has yet to be released. The group posted to Twitter prior to doing this, alluding to the fact that it had Disney info. They claim they did this to shed light on artists' rights because of how Disney handles artist contracts, its approach to AI, and its pretty blatant disregard for the consumer. Here's the thing, though. 2 wrongs don't make a right. And despite the hackers' intentions, what they did isn't ethical, because they shared out personal company information. That's my opinion. Do you agree or do you disagree?
Yeah, I think this one's tricky. It's kind of a common, or becoming the commonplace to like I guess, leave from documents, or a bit like a modern WikiLeaks almost, or something like that. I mean, that's different, but leave company information if they disagree with what they're doing.
Fair point.
Yeah, I'm not sure where you draw the line. Like, there was another example that I came across a couple of weeks ago where a hacker was a bit different, but he or she was basically exposing that AI models, their guardrails are not that good, and they can get bypassed to produce bad content. Stuff that's on the internet, but stuff that shouldn't be reproduced.
Is that like when we were talking about Pliny the Prompter?
Exactly. Yeah, that was him. It's hard to know where to draw the line. I guess in this case, the activists felt strongly about how Disney are treating their actors and their AI things, like you mentioned.
And so I see your point. It's almost like, let's say there's a matrix when you're trying to make a point about something. You start by doing A. If that doesn't work, you move to trying B. If that doesn't work, you move to trying C. So it's almost like the hackers are saying, everybody out there has tried A, B, and C, and you're not hearing it. So now we're implementing D.
That's a pattern that's happened throughout history on many different scales, like really, really big and world-changing things to smaller things.
How AI is fueling uncertainty for game developers from the BBC. Here comes this conversation again about concerns regarding people's jobs. There are collaborations among the gaming industry and tech giants. I believe Electronic Arts, which a lot of people know as EA on a lot of the games, are investing in NVIDIA based on some development tools they're creating. One quote that I read from the article that I found really interesting is, rather than creating their own material, says Jess, by the way, is somebody who was, I guess, interviewed for this article. Artists worry they could end up supplementing AI's efforts rather than the other way around. From the start, I've kind of been saying that AI should amplify humans, not replace. So if the reality is that the gaming industry will be using AI in some way, I wonder if there is a way it can strike a balance. AI is powerful tool. There's no doubt about it. It gives humans more time for higher level tasks like storytelling that AI seems to be very same about. I do have friends that are creatives, not necessarily in the gaming industry. I see their concerns about AI generated content and also what is taking away from their own creativity. And so, how can we preserve the human creators? There's got to be some method out there for collaboration.
Yeah, and I think it applies, like you said, the wider industry, not just gaming, but your friends, creative in general, and actually also non-creators, people just generally working, right? when do humans start becoming the supplement rather than AI remaining the supplement? I think until we have AI that's at a level of human intelligence, right, like API at the minimum, AI will always be the supplement to humans. And then once we reach that stage where API has been achieved, that's when we really have to start thinking about with AI suddenly taking over humans, and it's no longer the addition, humans are the addition. And then in that case, is that actually a bad thing? Like, it sounds bad, but it sounds bad because we don't know what it's like. But actually, is that something that we want? Is that something that would make our lives better and the work we produce better for creatives and non-creatives? Although you could argue that pretty much everyone is creative, regardless of what work they do. But yeah,
Oh, I
I
love
think
that.
I think it's something time will tell. What do you think about that?
I don't know. I don't have the answer to it. What I can tell you is that as a child, I used to watch a show called The Jetsons, and it basically took place in what the world envisioned the future to be. With these weird cars zipping around, and they had a robot, Rosie, that took care of everything for them, and they had the video phones already at the time, and it seemed so normal. At the same time, there was a really popular show out called The Flintstones. Eventually, there was a movie called The Jetsons Meet the Flintstones or something like that. And I'd always wavered back and forth between, oh my gosh, life seemed so much simpler in the time of the Flintstones. And then, wow, but look at all the awesome things that the Jetsons have. Are we going to be there one day? And I think we're approaching it. I mean, if we think about it, with this world of self-driving cars and we're all living on video calls all day long, we couldn't do that when I was born in 1980. So I believe we need to embrace technology, but first and foremost, I believe we need to be educated about it. And I don't think we can really make any judgment calls before we educate ourselves. And so that goes with this whole concept about creatives. And I think there also has to be a self-belief there. I consider myself a creative. I'm a writer. I don't think AI is taking away from my ability as a writer, but that's my self-belief.
And because you've educated yourself on the new technology as
True.
well.
We started with Big Brother. We ended with the Jetsons. All right, safe travels to you, Will.
You do. Okay.
Bye.